Jambo, that's hello in Swahili. 24 years ago, I made a promise that one day I would go to Africa to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Kilimanjaro is the tallest freestanding mountain globally, with a peak height of 19,341 feet above sea level. The snow-covered volcano attracts over 35,000 climbers per year. People who show up to climb Mount Kilimanjaro help stimulate the local economy, as climbers use tour companies who employ drivers to take climbers from the airport to hotels and the trails. Local farmers supply food for the trips. Hotels host climbers before and after the climb, and thousands of porters and guides work directly with the climbers to help them make it safely to the top and back down again. Generally, there are 2 to 3 porters employed per climber. That means approximately 105,000 people depend on people to show up so they can feed their families. The world leaders' joint effort to keep people home to ensure hospital care for the vulnerable COVID patients jeopardize the safety and well-being of not only the porters and guides, but all of the people living in countries dependent on tourism for their survival. Okay.
I'm Junior. I have to talk about this COVID-19, the way it's affected us, because we are depending on tourism. So according to COVID-19, we missed a lot of things. As you know that our family, they depend on tourists, and because of clients, they don't come. We missed a lot of things. Especially we depend on tourists and clients. When they come, we get something to drive our lives. So if we miss them, we lose a lot of things. As we know that our family and our job depending on the clients. So we welcome all clients to come and visit us in Tanzania, so as we can get more job. When we get more job, we will drive our lives. Thanks. Good. Welcome.
After a year of waiting for permission to travel, I decided I couldn't wait any longer. Something in my heart told me you have to go now. Sometimes we don't get a second chance for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I will take you on the trip with me so you can see the magic of the mountain, the spirit of the guides, the resilience of the porters, how to travel during a pandemic, and perhaps you might decide it's time for you to travel too so you can save lives. The first thing you need to know is not all countries are welcoming visitors, but Tanzania is. According to the United States guidelines for travel, all travelers must get a PCR test before departure and then another rapid antigen test at the airport before being granted permission to fly. Once I passed those 2 requirements, I was cleared for takeoff. When I arrived in Tanzania, my driver Simon welcomed me. He took me and some other travelers to the Summit Lodge for a day of rest before embarking on the next phase of our journey. Our day started with a drive through Arusha and to the western side of Kilimanjaro. We checked in at the Londorosi Gate and then ascended into the rainforest. I felt inspired by the landscape, motivated by the porter's strength, and the joy radiating from my guide, Good Luck, was contagious. We were off to a great start. Climbers may face several challenges along their way to the top of Kilimanjaro has 5 climate zones: cultivation zone, rainforest zone, heather and moorland zone, alpine desert, and the Arctic zone. We had a lot of rain on our first day, and I wondered if perhaps I should have packed a flotation device in my bag. But my guide assured me by saying, "The weather here is like a chameleon. It changes constantly. Hakuna Matata. Don't worry." On day 2, I met another traveler who just so happened to live in my neighborhood in Los Angeles. We shared stories about why we had come and what we were hoping to experience, and then we set off on the trail. We walked out of the forest and into a savanna of tall grasses, heather, and volcanic rock, which draped with lichen beards. In the afternoon, we followed the Shira Ridge to the high desert plateaus, where I saw the first views of Mount Kilimanjaro. Along the way, I got to know my porters and hear their stories about what life has been like for them during the shutdown. For my guide, Good Luck, he said the last time he had been on the mountain was February 2020. He hadn't had work in over a year, and he was so happy that I had come. He was grateful for just one visitor so that he could show me the way to the top of Kilimanjaro. We arrived at Shira Camp and got ready for day 3. Shira Camp is absolutely exquisite, with clear views of Kilimanjaro and fresh water springs everywhere. My porters would gather water each day and treat it to ensure it was safe for me to drink. The porters and guides do so much to ensure their clients remain healthy and safe. They provide water for washing and for drinking. And I even had my own personal toilet, which was so worth the small extra payment I made. From Shira Camp, we trekked to Moore Camp. We had a full day of exploration of the Shira Plateau. We traveled east toward Kibo's glaciated peaks. I met a few friends along the way, and I continued to learn about the mountain's various terrain, history, and natural beauty. As we continued to travel, I enjoyed learning about my guide and the porter's family. Some of them have a farm, which saved them during the shutdown, as they were able to feed their children with the crops they harvest, and they were able to sell some of their food at the markets throughout Arusha. At night, the porters and guides sit together to eat dinner, talk about the day, and prepare for tomorrow. I had the opportunity to try ugali for the first time, a maize flour porridge and a favorite among the locals. Mostly, I got served breakfast, lunch, and dinner in my own private tent and had plenty of time for reflection and quiet moments to soak up the beauty of the mountain. The most crucial element in a successful summit climb is allowing your body enough time to acclimate to the high altitude. Each day, the altitude increases drastically. For me, I started at sea level. The Lemosho Route tends to have the highest success rate of all other paths. The course is a bit longer, taking 8 days, but this allows for a few extra days to acclimate and allow the body to adapt to the thinner air progressively. On this day, we traveled to Lava Tower at 15,000 feet. Lava Tower was one of my favorite spots. The wind was blowing so hard up there, and ice was covering the rocks. The scenery, again, was beautiful. From Lava Tower, we descended upon the enormous senecio forest filled with multiple desert plant species. We walked slowly through this area, as my guide pointed out each plant, telling me all about their unique character and long life. We continued on, and then we finished at Barranco Camp. From Bronco Camp, we traveled upward through the Great Bronco Valley. Day 5 was a fun day of adventure as we had to scramble up rocks, climb over crevices, and carefully scale around the Kissing Rock, of which you must kiss as you pass for good luck. We continued uphill into the Arctic zone of Kili and went through the Karonga Valley to finally settle in at Karonga Camp. We had fun taking pictures, joining in the camaraderie with the other porters and guides, and laughing along the way. St. Augustine, a renowned theologian, prolific writer, bishop, and preacher who lived from 396 to 430 AD, wrote, "The world is a book, and those who do not travel read only a page. When we travel, we learn things we can never know from a book, even if we read it cover to cover." On day 6, we hiked from Karonga Camp to Kosovo. This was a short hike, but the elevation gain went from 13,100 feet to 16,000 in just a few hours. The Climb Kili team strategically plans each day's hike to allow for as much time as possible to adapt to the elevation gain. At 16,000 feet, I was definitely feeling the effects of the altitude. But as I watched the porters carrying all of the weight on top of their heads, I figured if they can do that, certainly I can summit with a small little backpack on my body. When we reached camp, we spent the rest of the day relaxing and preparing for the next stage of our journey. And then the moment I have been waiting for arrived. The opportunity to check climbing to the Rooftop of Africa off of my bucket list was here. At 2 a.m., we began our ascent. This section of the route is considered to be one of the steepest on the non-technical paths to Kilimanjaro. It usually takes 6 to 7 hours to walk to Stella Point, but we made it up there in about 3.5. We continued on our way past Stella Point to see the sunrise at the top. We passed the Redmond and Retzel glaciers and arrived at Uhuru Peak. The feeling I got at the top was one of elation and pride and joy and gratitude. David McCulloch Jr. said, "Climb mountains, not so the world can see you, but so you can see the world." Reaching the summit with my kakas, brothers from another mother, at a time when we have been told that socializing is deadly and traveling ill-advised, I realized at the top of the mountain that I came to Africa not only to see the world, but to see the people whose lives have been affected by the world leaders' response to a virus that more than likely will not harm these resilient people, nor the ones that they guide to the top of mountains. After celebrating a wonderful summit, I began to reflect on the trip I had, and I thought of how much life changed in 2020 in America, with a few mighty scientists and influential people who controlled the information we received and simultaneously made the orders for us to live in isolation without any thought to the aftershock to those people who depend on us for their livelihood. Some believe the only way forward out of this pandemic is through a vaccine. If we are genuinely following the science in the global effort to save lives, we would take an objective view and study the people who have easily beat COVID. What is it about their mindset, genetics, and resilient nature that enables them to adapt? We would also consider the facts that as many as 150 million people were forced into extreme poverty as a direct result of the stay-at-home order. Albert Einstein said, "The most beautiful experience we can have is the mysterious. It is the fundamental emotion that stands at the cradle of true art and true science." There are some things that science will never be able to explain, like why it is that I felt so called to travel to Africa at this time in my life.
Okay, my sister, I'm so happy to see you at the hotel because I was surprised to see you because also my family, I tell them tomorrow I'm going to mountain
So they say, Daddy, tomorrow we are going to mountain. Really? Oh, we can't believe, because a long time we stay at home, no anything, but now we are going to mountain. Oh, I'm very lucky. So I'm praying for you, for make sure your clients will reach the top. So now we're so happy because already we are going to get some money for cares at home and many greetings from you, from us to your friend. When they go to home, don't forget to send their people for us. Thank you very much. Carry.
Mgeni wetu yuko vizuri, alipotoka anapajua, anapokwenda ni mbali sana. Mola mjalie we, twaomba afike salama. Mola mjalie we, twaomba afike salama. La 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 la. Mola mjalie we, twaomba afike salama. Mola mjalie we, twaomba afike salama. La 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 la. Mola mjalie we, twaomba afike salama. Mola mjalie we, twaomba afike salama. Jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana. Wageni wakaribishwa Kilimanjaro, hakuna matata, tembea pole pole, hakuna matata. Tumeanza Lemosho, hakuna matata. Mkubwa tumefika, hakuna matata. Na Shira tumefika, hakuna matata. Na Mwati tumekwenda, hakuna matata. Baranko tumefika, hakuna matata. Karanga tumefika, hakuna matata. Uhuru tumekwenda, hakuna matata. Hakuna matata, hakuna matata. Hakuna matata, hakuna matata. Hakuna matata, hakuna matata. Hakuna matata, hakuna matata. Ngorongoro Tarangire, hakuna matata. Selu na Katavi, hakuna matata. Manyara Serengeti, hakuna matata. Wageni karibuni, hakuna matata. Tanzania nchi nzuri, hakuna matata. Nchi ya kupendeza, hakuna matata. Hakuna matata, 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 hakuna matata.
Aye, pewe tano dada, pewe tano. Ameto tano. Yuko vizuri mdada, apewe tano. Tuserebuke, aye, aye.